Hello everyone and welcome back to Family Life Builders TV, where we're building homes and transforming society. My name is Tosin Opeoluwa. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what to do if your marriage is falling apart. Sometimes things are not what you expect. It doesn't go the way you want. All the fantasies you have, all the expectations, it doesn't look like what you want. But there's always something to do. The Bible says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? It's a question. So that means the righteous can still do something, right? The righteous can change the situation because the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So the righteous can actually do something. So let's look at some of the things that we can actually do. If you're joining me for the first time, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And then that way we can have more views. People can know more about these awesome messages. So the number one thing is discuss the reason for the problem. Most of the time when there's a challenge in the relationship, the first thing we do is we shut down, right? Everybody go on their way, to your tent or Israel. Sometimes ago I had a woman was saying, right now my husband is has moved to the guest room. um, I don't know. There are some foundational things that we really need to deal with and work on even before we get into marriage. And one of them is, no matter what happens, no matter how much we fight, nobody, none of us will choose not to sleep on the same bed, that day. So there's a need for us to learn to discuss rather than shutting up, rather than to your tent or Israel. So learn to discuss the reason for the problem, the root of the problem. So when you discuss the roots, when you are able to get to the root, and sometimes you won't be able to get to the roots by yourself, you might actually speak to a professional for you to be able to get to the bottom of the problem, to the root of the problem. For example, for some people, that's how they see their parents bring them up. That's how they see their father talk to their mother. That's how they see their mother talk to their father. For some people, that grew up in dysfunction, that is all they know. It's the dysfunction that they know. So it's going to take you and lots of effort for you to get to the bottom of the problem. And once you get to the bottom of the problem, you'll be able to bring out the solution and things will go well again in the relationship. I tell people, make divorce the last option after you have tried everything. Like, tried everything before you make divorce an option. You don't want to do it. You want it to be the last thing after you have tried everything. So after you have discussed the problem, probably with a professional, then that way you'll be able to design what the solution will be. The next thing is decide what you want in that marriage. When your marriage begins to fall apart, even when individual lives begins to fall apart, it has to get to a point where you sit down and tell yourself, this is not what I want. This is not how I want my finances to go. I used to work with a woman as a graduate assistant while I was in Prairie in Texas. And this woman, she's a very loving woman, and she would tell me, look, Tosin, these are some of the things I did. I write out all that I don't want, and I wrote out all that I want, and I begin to work towards what I want, and I begin to clean out what I don't want. There should be a time in that relationship when you come to a point or a space where you begin to look at what you want in that marriage. What do you want in your marriage? You need to be able to decide. Once you're able to decide what you want, you'll be able to clear out what you don't want. But if you don't even know what you want, you're not going to know what you don't want. Because sometimes we focus on what we don't want when we are not even working on what we want at all. So it's very essential for you and I to get to that space of say, hey, this is what I want in this marriage. And you have to learn to sit that man down, sit that woman down, and talk to each other. What do we want in this marriage? There's a need for us to do that. Number three, you need to choose to focus on your flaws. Um, I've seen men do this, a lot of men, because when they tell their wives that they are doing something wrong, they take it personal And because they don't want to be corrected, it becomes a problem. So the man wants to avoid you at all costs and say, hey, I will only do what will make her happy because I don't want problem in my life. I don't want that stress and all that. And that's why for some of you, your private part smells and your husband will not be able to tell you. You will not shave. You will not take care of your private space. And so the man wants to play with you, to that in that space, but they can't. The underwear you're wearing since 2 days is what you're still wearing. The clothes that you're wearing for days is what you're still wearing, simply because you are home, simply because you are, I don't know. Why are you doing that? You need to focus on your flaws. Men should not overlook those flaws. You are insulting your in-laws, you are insulting people even in your own family, and your husband is overlooking that. That's dangerous to you, to your children, to your future. Because what happened today is what you see. In fact, it's this moment alone that you see. You don't see what is in the future. And that's why God is bigger than us. We all pray for good things. And for many of you that act this way, you don't even have anything attached to your name. You don't even have anything attached to yourself. If that man dies today, how are you going to manage things? How are you going to take care of those children? Even when he leaves all the money for you, what kept his money going, what kept his life going is the relationship he has built over time. But the way you are acting, the way you're doing like nobody matters, including your husband's family. They don't matter to you. Nobody is an island. Nobody is an island. Just make sure that you have a powerful circle. Your circle might be small, your circle might be short, but make sure it's powerful. Make sure you are acting according to God's instruction for you, so that you will be able to focus on your flaws and be able to work on those flaws so that you can become a better you and repair it. For men, I want to encourage men, don't overlook your wife's flaws. I want to encourage women, don't overlook your husband's flaws, because at the end of the day, when it backfires, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect your children, and it's going to affect everybody. Number 4, decide to seek help if the challenges are beyond you. And that's just, like number 1 that I said, sometimes uh, we have the capacity to, settle so many things that are going on in our relationship, in our family, in our marriage. But at some point, there might be a need for us to actually see a therapist. There might be a need for us to see older couple who are more experienced than we are, so that they can be able to help us, to guide us. There might be a need for us to probably see our spiritual leader as well, so that they might be able to see what we don't see. Sometimes some of the battles you're fighting, they were simply the battles of characters that refuse to change, that has become a pattern, and we call them generational curses and all that. So and then the devil used that as a foothold. So when there's a foothold as a result of generational attitude or character that we refuse to change, then it's going to get to a point in our relationship, in our marriage, even in our life, that those things will raise their head, until we were able to trace those things and then we change them consciously. Then things will also change in our relationship. So we need to seek help, when that challenge comes to that point. The last but not the least is, you need to sit together and make up your mind on how you want your home to look like. Everybody have a picture of their future. If you don't have a picture of your future, you just live your life anyhow, and then you won't have a result for your life. And that's why, there's this book that I love, Focus on Your Dream. There's a need for every one of us to have a picture of the home that we want, the kind of home that we want, the kind of children that we want to raise, the kind of, life that we want to live. Once you understand the kind of life you want to live, once you understand, you have the picture of how you want to live this life, it's easier for you to work towards accomplishing, that kind of life that you want to live. But how do you do that without you understanding that need, without you understanding what would take you there? So you need to sit down together and design the life you want to live. And that comes sometimes by understanding that um, there are people who have gone ahead of you and that you can learn from. So when you have people like that in your life that you can learn from, the people that can say, hey, keep quiet, and you keep quiet. The people that can say, okay, this is how we did our home, so you can do it this way, and then you can get a better result. So you need to have those kind of persons in your life. If you don't have them in your life, go get them. And that's where I will end the show today. Thank you for joining me. If you're still watching, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Drop your comment, drop your question. You can also send me an email at familylifebuilderstv@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to respond to you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Till I come your way again, keep becoming a better you, because things actually work when we work it. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.